I don't know if people even know what we look like.
No.
Do you think they do? Because everything I post on Instagram is generally a photo of something other than us.
Well, you were on there with that one picture that you were talking about the wall, or was that on your personal one?
I might have put that on there. We were on there with the Weber County Archery Range.
Oh, yeah.
So,
what about that one where we did very first? Didn't we put one?
I never did post it, I don't think.
Okay.
I thought the picture was too goofy looking, so I never posted it.
That works.
So, we do not look like the bearded man with the elk in the head, that's for sure.
No, I've had so many other people like, my dad looks like that. Some guy in Wendover at the gas station was like, Elk Junkie, huh? What's that? You know, this old timer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, start telling him. He's like, oh, man, if I need meat, I just go kill it and eat it.
Just anything, huh? Squirrel.
Doesn't matter what it was.
Just meat.
And I was like, all right, sounds good. I'm not going to go get no tag. If I need something to eat, I just go kill it.
Nice. My wife thinks that that's creepy. She said when she looks at that head, she just sees that eye. Like it's this, I don't know if it's like a cyborg or this like tough, mean looking guy, you know?
His eye?
Yeah, like how it has just that, you know how we have that, just shows kind of like the one eye underneath the elk's chin?
Oh, I've never even looked at that.
You know? And so that's what she sees, and she thinks it's kind of this scary guy.
Oh.
I tried to explain to her. I said, look, it's not supposed to represent us. The idea is that elk is always in this guy's head.
Yeah.
And that's the idea of kind of an elk junkie is you're always thinking about elk. Elk is always in your head. And so that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah. And I think it's exactly what we're trying to personify in the brand.
Yeah.
Elk Junkie is, like you said, it's on your mind all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm driving through Nevada and I'm like, oh, look at the snow up there. That might be a good place to go look at that elk or,
Yeah. Oh, we're recording.
I'm in the temple today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, look at that landscape. That's a good north-facing slope. Oh, yeah, that one looks really nice. And then they have that one picture of that huge, it's not huge, it's a nice rag bull that shows up when they're talking about the animals. And I'm like,
That's
and Jared, it's funny, we talked about it afterwards. He's like, I thought the same thing. That big bull was better behind him, not the one they had on the front.
That's funny. Yeah, when you're looking at a picture and you're looking at north slopes, that's pretty telling that it's on your mind.
Yeah.
Were you scanning that north slope to see if there was anything there?
I know. There's nice Quakies. There's a good transition zone between the Quakies and the pine. And I was like, oh, yeah. That could be a good transition zone right there out in that park, in that meadow.
Yep. It sounds like you're a junkie.
Getting there. I just need to kill something.
Yeah.
Get that first one in the bag, so to speak.
Well, should we welcome everyone?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we might as well start. We've kind of already started, right?
Yeah.
So
In a roundabout way.
Yeah, we thought it would be fun just to catch up, talk about what we've been doing.
Well, not literally catch up. We don't like, catch up on the show, but.
Yeah. But thought we'd just go ahead and just chat about some things. I drew out for a limited entry elk hunt, archery elk hunt.
Yeah.
And some other things been going on, so we thought it'd be fun to talk about that and whatever else we wanted to chat about. Talk about the drought.
Yeah.
And impacts we're seeing from that. So
we thought we'd call these our quick casts.
Yeah, you've got a quick cast for you.
So something that's not super long that would just catch you up on what we're doing. Catch you up. Yeah, catch you up.
Yeah.
And just kind of, keep you guys interested and hear our voices because they're so amazing.
Yeah, right. Yep. And if you hear me clearing my throat, it's because I've been sick.
And so it wasn't COVID.
And no COVID, just families going through some kind of a virus, just kind of a head cold virus. So I'm better now, but it seems to take forever to clear up.
Oh, man, when I talked to you the other day, I was like, geez.
You're like, we need to do that so we can hear that sexy, deep voice.
It was horrible. But
yeah, and I think we try to do a podcast every 2 weeks. and I think we've gone 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast it just goes by.
Yep.
And it kind of caught us off guard, and you were traveling for work, and I got sick, so we're like, we better
just hold
it off
a
week.
bit.
So
yeah, we're good.
And we're excited about our next podcast. We've reached out to Kyle Douglas, who is 2-time archery champion at the Vegas shoot, which is like the biggest shoot in the world. So
for archery, for competition, archery, that's nobody's done that. Nobody's two-peated, repeated, however they call it, 2 years in a row. And so that's pretty impressive that he was able to do that. But.
Yeah, so we're excited. He's on the cover of Archery Magazine, so it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to talk to him not just about archery and what he does, but we're going to talk about elk hunting. And he's a big elk hunter. So
him and his family.
Get a good story out of him, or stories, some experiences.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that one. Let's start off and let's go way back. It feels like forever ago, but let's hear about your turkey.
My turkey, I did I did get a turkey tag this spring here in Utah, and I filled it. I got my turkey
on opening day, wasn't it?
Opening day. I got out there early. I probably arrived in the parking lot around 5 a.m.
Well, and you pre-scouted too.
Pre-scouted. One day I went up there and happened to see turkeys.
That was the day of the crotch incident, if you don't remember from our last couple podcasts ago.
The sore crotch from biking. So, I went back to that spot where I saw those turkeys and hiked up in there that morning, and they were gobbling right off the bat. So I was excited about it.
That's way cool.
Heard 3 different toms gobbling. As soon as it got light enough, I could see 2. I mean, I won't go into too much detail, but I went after those 2, and I'm more of a run and gun kind of a turkey hunter. Occasionally I've called them in, but mostly run and gun, and I tried to get on top of these 2, and they just crested a hill and went down into some nasty thick brush, and it was kind of over.
They were gone.
And then there was one more above me up on the hill that was gobbling, so I went after him. I saw him move across the side hill, and he and I just played cat and mouse.
All day almost.
So I got there, I think, 5 in the morning. I finally shot him at about 1:30, I think it was, in the afternoon.
That's crazy.
And all the toms were just gobbling all day.
See, and that blows my mind. Most of the time we're out there, we hear them first light, and then they shut up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and they just kept going.
Huh. I wonder why.
And I don't know if I've got lousy hearing or what it was, if he knows how to throw his voice, but, I mean, he went down the mountain into this draw. I worked my way down there, never saw him. I dropped my call near my bike, so I had to go all the way back down to my bike, hike back up the mountain, and I'd heard him gobbling on this side hill, so I went over on this side hill, and nothing. I eventually set up a decoy, started doing some calling. He gobbled. Next thing you know, I see him come out. He's working his way towards me. And nothing happened. He never came. I thought he was coming. I thought he was probably within 50 yards, but he never would come back up the hill. So I went back down in the draw again, saw a bunch of old sleeping bags and clothes that had been left behind by, I don't know,
some homeless
camp, something.
Yeah, that's a nice area to camp up in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Right in that draw would be nasty. And so then I went back down to the bottom. So this is the second time I've gone up and down, up and down. I went down, went back up the hill, and when I was up on the hill, I hear a gobble, and I swore it was across the canyon on the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm thinking either he snuck across or there's another tom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, all right, I'm going to go after him. So I went back down the mountain, start heading across that canyon, and there's a road that goes right up that canyon, and I hear a gobble, and I'm like, that sounded like that was back where I just was.
Oh, my gosh.
so I
back up the mountain.
I turn around, and I listen for a little bit, and I hear the gobble. I'm like, oh, my goodness, he's like right there. And where the spot was is he was just below this trail that I was kind of standing on. So I'm like, I know right where he's at. So I go back up the hill. This is my 4th time back up the hill. And I start to come down where I think he's at. And I start hearing that, sound like he's nervous. And sure enough, I see a head. I wasn't sure what it was. I could just see it was kind of dark because it was in some brush. And he starts walking out. And I hurry and hustle over, and I see that it's a tom. And I see his beard and, and everything.
Yeah.
rose my gun up and shot him.
Popped
Popped
him.
him. So
Then
yeah.
it rolled down the hill, and
he went down the hill probably 30 yards and stopped on a tree. So I went down and got him, and yeah, it was a long hunt. He and I just...
That's impressive, though, honestly, that you kept at it, because I don't know. I don't think I would have been like, okay, I'm going back up.
I was exhausted.
Not again.
I was exhausted. So I like to watch, I really enjoy watching UFC fights. And after I'd shot him and I'm carrying him up the hill, I'm just exhausted. And what's going through my mind is these UFC fighters when they're just exhausted and someone's trying to punch them in the face. I'm thinking, that has got to be the worst, to be so exhausted and then someone's trying to pound your face in. And I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking, what if someone's trying to punch me in the face as I was trying to walk up this hill? And I thought that'd be brutal.
Yeah. Maybe I'd move a little quicker.
Anyways, and I got a pretty cool photo. I think I posted that on...
somewhere.
I think on Instagram I posted it. So
yeah, that was good. It's a good bird.
That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And he was extra tasty. I don't know if it was all the butter that I cooked him in. But
then you smoked him too, didn't you?
Smoked him. That was the best turkey I've probably ever had. And I'm one that will usually say, the butterball turkeys from the store are so much better. But I don't know. It must have just been the way I cooked him because he was awesome
tasty.
Yeah,
you ate on him for a couple of days.
Yeah. So that's kind of I don't know. Some people think turkey hunting is kind of like elk hunting. Sorta.
Yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
They call, you talk.
They come in sometimes they don't. They get hung up.
Yeah. So.
They want to round up the girls and run the other way.
Yeah. So that's my turkey story.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then you drew out, right?
So I drew out. I won't say exactly where, but I think I probably have stated before where. I only won't mention it just because there's probably other hunters and they might be mad at me if I just give too much information.
A limited entry hunt in Utah.
Yeah, in Utah. And it's an archery hunt and actually drew out as a group. So myself, my brother-in-law, his brother, and his son all put in together and we drew out. So it's funny because this is the second time now we've all drawn out together.
Yeah.
And everyone's surprised every time that we do that we draw as a group. But we've been successful doing it for whatever reason. So
just odds are in your favor.
Yeah. So we each had 5 points, and we drew out. And I've been down there, like you said. I've been living there. I've been down there 3 times. I think I went 3 weekends in a row.
Yeah, you did. That last one, I'm like, again? You got residency down there yet?
But we're just so excited to get down there and scout. We've been down there just learning the area because we've never been in there before. And just trying to learn the roads, trying to learn kind of the ins and outs, the boundaries, trying to find water, you name it.
Yeah.
And we found a lot of water.
Yeah. For now.
But we think these locations of water that we found will fill up. There's like guzzlers, ponds, things like that we found. And so we're really stoked about those.
Well, they should fill up maybe when monsoon season hits, hopefully.
That's what I've looked. I've seen in this area August, September, October is like the wet months, and September is the wettest.
Oh, good.
So
that means you'll have water?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless this freakish year
I know
of no water keeps going.
It's terrible. I've posted on our Instagram page a couple times now the snowpack levels.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
Yep.
It is just terrible. Not only did we have, lower amounts of snow this year, but it got hot quick and it got dry.
Yeah.
And so it's been pretty bad, and it's not getting any cooler. I think here today.
It's 90.
What is today? What is today? 16th?
Yeah.
And it's 98. Yesterday I think it was 104.
Yeah, I was driving across the salt flats yesterday, and I was 109 in my truck.
Oh, yeah. So it's bad. I was looking yesterday at this one site. It's called the Us Drought Monitor. And let's see, this map was released on June 10th. And so they have these different levels. They've got none, whatever none means. I'm guessing that means there's no
drought.
Abnormal dryness,
Okay.
And then they have 0, which is abnormally dry, 1, which is moderate, 2, severe, 3, extreme, 4, exceptional. And you look at the state of Utah, I would say 60% of the state of Utah is in that exceptionally
dry,
exceptional drought range. And then another, I would say, I don't know, another 20% or so is in that extreme, and everything else is in that severe moderate. So
nothing's like normal.
Not even close. No, nothing in Utah. Utah is just looking bad. Nevada looks rough. New Mexico, California, Idaho, Montana, they're all in that. There's some areas, looks like in Montana, that says none, but most of Idaho looks like it's in that moderate to severe, some abnormal.
Yeah.
But bottom line, across the West,
it's just not been
we
good.
are in a drought, and we need some serious rain.
Yeah. I think that'll be a good, hunting tactic this year, obviously, is water. If you can find water during the season,
yeah,
it might be the year that you're sitting water. Who knows? Which not a lot of people like to do, but it's going to be their critical piece that they don't have.
What we've talked about doing is hunting in the mornings and the evenings, trying to hunt them while they're rutting activity, while they're bugling and up and about. But if we can, at least if we don't get one, we can kind of figure out where they're at.
Yeah.
Then we'll go sit on water in those areas in the day.
That's smart.
And the four of us could literally break up and go sit on our own water somewhere and see if we can get one that way. So I think that's water. I think it's going to be critical unless, I don't know, I'm hoping something changes. But even like fire danger, this hot, lack of water, yeah,
we're already having a lot of fires here in the West.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. There's a fire kind of near where our unit's at. We're like, please get that one put out, please.
Yeah, right.
Except you remember when we talked to
Kobe
Jones, he was saying
and Rusty. Rusty, I think, was one mentioned about.
Yeah, it was Rusty that actually mentioned it. They were saying that, man, sometimes they'll get these burns and they'll be in there within a month or two or something, right?
So if you can burn it right now, and get some rain, so that the green stuff starts growing, then they'll be in there.
Yeah. So, anyways.
I don't know. It's just been a weird year. I think everything's just culminating with COVID and who knows what else. It's just interesting to say the least.
Normally, where I hunt, even in a dry year, I think it's because it's high enough elevation. There's always water running in some creek or something. So there's always water somewhere. I found, even in the driest years. And so it's hard to go say I'm going to go sit on water somewhere because there's just lots of water. But this particular unit, it's dry, and that's why they've got these water sources out there. And so I think you could go sit on those and really increase your chances. So
especially for midday madness.
Yeah, we've got cameras up.
Good.
Except I went down there the one time, and I'm like, I wasn't planning on checking my camera, and I was just checking out the area. So I drove on top. And I spotted 3 bulls. There was one really nice bull that was, compared to the other 2.
Yeah, he looked
like he's going to be a nice bull.
He's going to be
much
really
growth
nice
as he had.
bull.
Yeah. And then that was the evening. The next morning, I spotted 3 separate bulls. Another one was really nice. And then I decided to go for a drive, and I ended up making it all the way back to where I had a camera. And, of course, I didn't have my key.
I've done that as well. And now I started every single one of my packs has a key in it.
I know. I need to do that.
And just because I screwed up that one time, and I'm like, I don't want to hike back in there to check the camera. And so now I just have a key.
Well, and I thought about it. I didn't think through it clearly enough. In my mind, I was like, okay, when I come in here, I'm going to be on an ATV when I'm driving these roads checking cameras.
Yeah.
So I put my key in my ATV. Of course, I didn't take my ATV.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, oops. I'm putting it in the backpack this time because I
Yeah.
always have that with me no matter what I do.
I think that's a good idea.
Anyway, so that's what I've been up to, scouting. It's looking good though. We're way excited. We're seeing track. We're seeing sign. We got lots of good insight. I mean, if I could say something to the listeners, besides your e-scouting, we did a ton of e-scouting,
Yeah, you
and
guys did.
we picked some areas that we thought just looked beautiful and fabulous for elk. But then we started talking to people, and the people in the know were like, yeah, that's what most people think, that they're there, but they're usually over here. And
Right.
so, man, don't just rely on e-scouting. Don't just rely on your own knowledge. Talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
And most of those people are willing to share,
Yeah.
your DWR, your Division of Wildlife Resources, whoever they are,
yeah.
your local hunting people. I don't know. Sometimes they won't
Yeah.
tell you, but
I wonder if they're more open to share knowledge on a limited entry unit and not
I
so
would
much
think
on
so.
a general unit. Because general unit, that's kind of like your area, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard. You don't want to share much information, but where you may only draw out on a limited entry unit, probably once in your lifetime, right?
Yeah,
On a particular
yeah.
one.
Makes
I think
sense.
people are more willing to share. I know when I've drawn out on another area, I'd be happy to share that with somebody.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
No, I think, like you said, that's just the chances of you getting back in there. I mean, in Utah, you have your 5-year waiting period, and then you've got at least
Yeah.
4 or 5 years before you draw out again,
Yeah.
if you're lucky. And so, I mean, you're 10 years before you could even get back to the same area, and who knows, it might be totally different by then.
Yeah. Yep. This is something I was thinking about too. It seems like right now, what I call it a trend. There's kind of a trend for elk hunters to want to pack in several miles.
Yeah.
Backpack in several miles and set up and hunt back there. Get away from the roads. Get away from, I guess, other hunters. But I'm starting to wonder if they're not creating opportunities for other hunters.
Yeah.
Because, so here's how I liken it. We've probably all been to these Easter egg hunts like the cities do, right? The cities do
Yeah.
these Easter egg hunts. And what do? They put all the eggs out in the middle of a field, and they put it in a square shape. And so you have all the kids are lined up on the outside edges of that square, and you've got all the eggs out in that square.
Yeah.
From the edge all the way out to the middle. And I remember first going out there with my kids, and what did I tell my kids? I'm like, okay, here's what you got to do. You got to go straight to the middle.
Yeah.
Book it straight to the middle. Get as many eggs as you can, because that's where they're going to be. Everybody's going to be working their way from the edge, and you just go straight to the middle, and you're going to get a ton. And that's kind of what they did. But then I've noticed over the years, people are kind of getting smart, and now
pulling your tactic.
well, yeah, so everybody's running straight to the middle, and they're leaving everything on the edge. So there's all these eggs on the edge. So now I was telling my kids, well, and they're too old now, but I said, run to the middle, get your eggs, but book it back to the edge, because I said everybody's running past those eggs on the edge. And I wonder if hunters are doing that a little bit now. Are the people that are packing far in, are they bypassing a lot of elk? Maybe the elk that are far back in, they're less disturbed, less pressured.
More vocal, maybe.
Maybe more vocal. Could be bigger, who knows? But I wonder if we're starting to pass up a lot of opportunities closer, because I know some of the area that I generally hunt, the elk that we see, and there's a lot of them, are within half mile to a mile from the highway.
Jeez.
And I don't know, just wonder if people are missing some opportunities.
I could see it, honestly. It depends on the area probably too. I mean,
Yeah. There's probably some areas, maybe not so much in Utah, maybe Idaho, Montana, where you can really get deep back in there
yeah.
and get away from people. But I just wonder how many are all doing that.
It's true. I did pull the trigger on a new tent.
Oh, did you? What'd you get?
I got that Luxe
Really?
Octo Peak.
Oh, nice. That one's nice.
It was on sale. It's been in my cart for a year.
We talked about that 2 years ago, I think.
I know. And I finally was like, okay, either I'm going to buy a new drone because my drone flew away last year, or
As if it just flew away on its own.
it literally flew away while we were up there scouting for elk. I was like, I'm going to fly my drone down this canyon, see if there's water down in there. Fly it down in there, turns it around, and all of a sudden, signal lost.
It just ran away.
And it just was like, see you, sucker. I was like, oh my gosh. But no. But yeah, I ended up.
Did you get the stove?
I did.
Oh, yes.
I got the stove, and then they had a lot of stuff that was on back order. I they've had a super influx of purchases this year with
Yeah.
government stimulus checks, is what it says right on their thing.
Oh, really?
And so a lot of people have been buying their equipment, and it's not in stock like it typically is. And so some of the inner tents
Yeah.
are on back order till next year.
Holy cow.
And I'm like, ooh. So I ordered a couple of the inner ones. They said they're supposed to ship out this month. We'll see, but I haven't even had a chance to open it. It showed up last week, and then I went out of town for work, and I was like, I want to open this
I need to
thing.
be invited to that opening.
Yeah.
I want to see this thing, at
But
least when you set it up.
It's so lightweight. I was blown away. I mean, I got the bag out. I bought the center pole that comes with it, and I'm like, just this right here, I'm like, this is not even like 3 pounds, maybe 4 at the max. I'm like, holy smokes, this is going to be awesome.
That's going to be cool.
But no, I'm excited to use it.
That is fun.
Even if I just sleep it in the backyard.
When you get in trouble.
Fire up the stove. I'm good, honey. I don't need to come in the house.
No, that'll be fun. I know you knew I was looking at them too a while back. So
Yeah. No, you definitely piqued my interest. I mean, I've seen it. I had some other different brands that I was looking at as well, and just the price comparison to what you get, I felt like this was probably the best deal.
yeah,
And some of the other ones I was like, that's almost double the price what I paid, and it's a no-brainer.
nice. I'm anxious to see it because I really like that Octopeak shape, size.
Yeah.
Everything about it was nice.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Do you remember what it sleeps? Looked like
It
two
can
comfortably.
It can sleep well with your inner tents and a stove. You can do 2 in the inner tents with a stove, or if you don't have the stove, you can sleep up to 6 in there.
Wow.
And you're obviously getting close to the edge, but
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
an emergency, you can shove a lot of people in there and have at it.
Nice.
There's the cough.
There's my clearing.
Mucus removal check.
There's all sorts of names for it. Frog in your throat.
It's so
The
true.
Klimt.
Yeah, no, it's never fun when you get sick. It's
They
the
linger.
worst.
They linger on.
Speaking of nasty bugs, well, we weren't speaking of it, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was thinking of my tent because it
'Cause
doesn't have a
bugs-
bottom.
Yeah,
know?
no bottom, and the
And
bugs can
my
get in.
first, I was going to bring it on this job with me, and I was like, oh wait, because my employees told me that there's some, they call them Mormon crickets out here in the West. They're quite large, and when they come out, they come in droves, and it literally looks like the mountainside's crawling. And there's so many of them when they get out right at the first. And so they told me to an area just to the north that they ran into them. And I was working in the south, and the bugs were moving to the south. And so I was like, I'm not going to bring that tent because I don't want things crawling in there.
Yeah.
And so when I got out to this project, drove down the road, sure enough, there's Mormon crickets. And they are on average about 1 to 2, maybe 2.5 inches long. And they are big, just meaty, nasty looking things. And they hiss at you and make all these funky noises. But
It looks like a beetle to me.
Oh,
I mean,
they're
it's like
so
a beetle
gross.
with grasshopper legs or something.
they're nasty.
Ugh.
And they cannibalize themselves. So if you run over them on the road, their buddies come out and start eating on them, and then they get run over, and then they get run. It's just a perpetual cycle on the
There's
highway.
like a big pile, a big mound right on the
big
highway.
old red patch. And if it gets bad enough, the slipperiness of the guts, you can get in a wreck because
Really?
it's so slimy.
Just sliding on the guts.
It's like you're on ice because there's so many of them, and it's just so gross. But I must
Hydroplaning, that's what they call
Yes.
it. So Mormon cricket planing.
Yeah, but no, I thought, I'll bring out my tent and get it sealed and stuff, and then I remembered the crickets, and I was like, I'm not going to bring it out there because I didn't have the inner tent yet, and so I was like, ooh. Sure enough, they were out there, but not as bad as I've seen in the past. But they were definitely there.
Give me the willies right now. I'm
Oh,
starting to itch.
It was horrible. I mean, I pull into my spot that I wanted to camp, and the bushes and the grass just start moving.
Oh.
Everything jumping out of the way. And I brought a tent because I was like, well, originally my plan was just to sleep in the back of the truck or in the trailer on my cot, and I pull in, and by the time I got out of my truck and was looking over my equipment that I needed, there was already crickets in the trailer. They jumped up somehow, got in there. I'm like, nope, not going to sleep in there. If they can jump in there, they might be able to jump in the back of my truck. And so I set up my tent, made sure it was all completely closed, and just slept in that for 2 nights and while I did my work. But those things are just gross.
That is gross.
They're so gross. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine waking up in the morning and you're covered in them?
Oh, man. I woke up. It's weird, though. As soon as it started about getting dark, I'd say about a half hour before dark, they just disappeared. I'm like, where did they go? And I seen some of them like crawling up trees. I'm like, are they going up in the trees at night and then coming back down, going in the bushes and going to wherever they have their safe haven or whatever? But sure enough, the morning comes and I'm laying there in my tent. Next thing I know, I look over and there's one crawling up the side. Flick that sucker to the moon. Flicking them off my tent. I'm like, get out of here, you nasty little bugs.
Yeah, I'm going to have nightmares tonight now. I know it.
Yeah, I showed Lance a picture of it. And
I'm going to dream of Mormon crickets climbing on me.
Well, and you would think with that many bugs out there that it would bring in something to eat them.
Yeah. Where's the crows? Where's the something?
I never, there was birds out there, but not to the point where.
Well, it's because they're nasty.
Yeah, why would you want to eat
Even
that
the birds are like, these things are nasty.
They eat themselves. Why would I eat you? They're so gross.
Shoot. So what else is new?
Not much. Oh, I got 3rd place
in your
archery competition that I shot in.
In 3rd place,
I didn't win anything.
paid nothing.
Nothing.
What, 1st and 2nd did?
1st and 2nd got money,
Oh,
and
that
then
stinks.
I just think there wasn't enough people that signed up for my bow hunter class. I think they have to have a certain amount of people to compete in it before they put out money to the all the 1st, 2nd, 3rd place competitors. But shoot, man, that was the best I'd shot in a long time, and I was like, oh man, I might win something. And then somebody must have come in after me, because when I asked the gal, how I was doing, she's like, oh, you're like 50 points ahead of the nearest competitor. I'm like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And then the guy that got 1st place, he was 50 points ahead of me. And I'm like, how the heck did he shoot that freaking good?
Huh.
And I was blown away.
This is your 3rd shoot. Isn't it about your 3rd shoot this year?
Yeah.
You're going to be all set, because we're going to be at the Park City TAC?
Yep.
So we're going to end of July.
Middle of July, that week of the 21st, 23rd, something like that.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
You're going to be ready for that. I'm not. I haven't been shooting.
I'm going to kick your trash.
I'm going to lose so many arrows.
I'm going to hit foam. That's all I want. Foam is home, is what you say
at
those events.
I think I'm going to bring my Walmart special arrows for this event.
Well, how many did you lose last year?
Maybe a couple. I didn't 2 or 3, not that many.
Yeah.
And I was shooting really bad. So
you were off last year.
But the problem is I've got 7 good arrows that I'm planning on using for my limited entry hunt. And I'm like, if I take these to the TAC and I start blowing them up, and then it's hard to get arrows, that's what I'm worried about.
Very hard right now.
Because everything is tough to come by right now. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at bows on our local classifieds ad, and bows that are 4 or 5 years old, they're asking a ton of money for them still.
Really?
And I'm like, what? That's how much a new bow costs.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're not. I don't understand it. Maybe you just can't get a hold of stuff.
I'm really hoping I get a bow this year with my current bow, so I can sell it at the end of the season.
So you can justify getting a new bow,
and then I can go and get another one for next year. So I want to go over to Douglas Archery and buy one from them. but they don't carry Matthews. So I'm like, what do I do?
He's
Because
a PSE guy, isn't he?
I think they carry PSC. I don't know what else. I don't know if they carry Hoyt, but and I'm not necessarily 100% a Matthews guy.
Sure.
I'll shoot whatever, and whatever feels good is what I'm gonna buy.
Yeah.
But Matthews has just felt good the last 2 times. So
yeah, and I mean that's what I'm shooting right now because you guys all suggested, and I shot that, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's
the one.
Nice. I'll take that.
Yeah. So.
In green, please.
Well, what do you think? Should we wrap this one up for a quick cast?
Sounds good to me.
And then we'll have another podcast coming out here shortly.
Yep. We're excited to hear some stories. You know, the season's getting closer. Let's get everybody excited to go out and hunt something, whether it's hunt a good deal at your local grocery store or out in the mountains if you drew a lucky tag, you know.
Yeah.
It's all depends on what you want.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to. If any of the listeners like to reach out to us, they can, and we'd love to hear elk hunting stories and share them with people. So,
sounds good to me.
All right. Well, we will wrap this one up and call it a short one.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.